Welcome back to the deep dive. Now, if you've been following along with us through those 14 steps for refining the mind, you'll know we've been building towards something pretty significant.
Absolutely. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And today we're stepping into what feels like the next phase, really. Now, we're going to dive into what our source material actually calls the commencement of joyful living. It's all about, what happens after the refinement, the destination, maybe.
That's a great way to put it. And the core idea here, the really big goal of this phase, it's quite something. The source suggests that with self-knowledge, well, things shift.
How so?
There's basically nothing more to do and nowhere to go. You've sort of arrived.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it paints this picture where the whole earth becomes a theme park and life becomes a picnic. It's about this deep sort of abiding enjoyment, whatever comes your way.
Life as a picnic. I like the sound of that. So how do we get our heads around what that actually means practically? What does a joyfully living person look like?
Well, that's where the source gives us these four features, these defining characteristics.
Okay, 4 features. Let's explore those. Where do we start? So the first one is complete satisfaction. Let's unpack that.
Right. We all know satisfaction, don't we? Or at least temporary bursts of it.
Sure, like passing an exam, finally buying that car you wanted.
Exactly. Those moments feel great. But as our source points out, they're tied to achieving something specific, right?
Right.
And there's always scope for improvement.
Yeah. Pass one exam, there's another level. Get the car, a newer model comes out. Always chasing.
It's that cycle. But the source makes this really bold claim here. It presents self-knowledge as the only ultimate achievement.
The only one.
The only one where there is nothing more to learn or do. It even says everything in the universe is known by learning self-knowledge.
Okay, hold on. Everything is known. That sounds huge, like you know everything. How does the source mean that? It can't mean you suddenly know quantum physics if you didn't before, right?
No, probably not like that. It's not about knowing every single fact. It seems to imply a deeper understanding, like knowing the underlying principles, the operating system of reality, perhaps.
Ah, okay. Understanding the fundamental nature of things rather than just accumulating data.
Exactly. And for the person who gets this, the source describes these really lasting benefits. Things like undisturbed peace.
Undisturbed.
Yeah, remaining eternally peaceful, experiencing non-diminishing happiness. It's a state that isn't really affected by what's happening outside.
Because the source is internal.
Precisely. Connecting it to the bigger picture, it's moving away from that constant external search,
Yeah.
finding satisfaction out there. Instead, it becomes this unchanging internal state, complete.
Okay, that makes sense. A satisfaction not dependent on circumstance. So if you have this profound inner peace, how does that change the way you actually see the world and other people?
Well, that leads us perfectly into the second feature, perception of unity in diversity.
Unity and diversity. Okay.
So the source explains that usually we carry around these mental images of people.
Yeah, like snapshots based on past stuff or what we expect.
Right. And the key thing is that image in our head, it's often different from the actual person who's, changing all the time, just like we are.
True.
But underlying all this change, the source talks about the formless and nameless Atman.
Atman, the universal self.
Yes, the unchanging reality beneath everything, the one constant. And what's fascinating is how the joyous person understands this. They see the whole changing universe as, well, the source calls it an illusion supported on the non-changing Atman.
An illusion. Like a dream.
Kind of. The source uses that analogy. Dream objects are made from the dreamer's thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it suggests the waking world is similarly made of, let's say, divine thought or God's thoughts. And if you see it that way, then fundamentally there's no difference between the objects or living beings in the world. They all arise from the same source.
Wow. But, we deal with so many different types of people day to day. The source even lists them out. Well-wishers, friends, enemies.
Indifferent people, neutral ones, haters, relatives, the noble, the sinner.
Yeah, for most of us, those differences feel incredibly real. They dictate how we interact.
Oh, absolutely. And the source acknowledges that.
Mm-hmm.
But it clarifies that the joyous person, while seeing the underlying unity, seeing everyone as the projection of his Atman, they don't suddenly become incapable of interacting appropriately.
So they don't treat an enemy the same way they treat a friend.
No, they still respond appropriately according to the type of person. They recognize the image one is carrying, essentially, the role that person is playing in this grand illusion, this play.
That's a subtle but really important distinction. It's like the source gives that example about the woman, right?
Ah, yes, the divorce example. One man is miserable, says he can only be happy if he divorces his wife.
While another man thinks marrying that exact same woman is the key to his happiness.
It perfectly shows how perception shifts for the ignorant, as the source puts it. It changes based on their own internal state.
And the football example, too.
Right. Students playing football. On the field, definite opponents, definite teammates, different roles within the game.
But off the field.
They all belong to the same class in the same school. The joyous person gets both levels, temporary roles, and the underlying connection.
So this perspective must really impact how they deal with change itself.
Hugely. The source says change is the only constant factor. And the joyous person embraces this, wakes up with a fresh outlook, doesn't hold on to past judgments.
Not judging based on past transactions. Wow, even being friendly after being abused. That's hard to imagine for most.
It is, but it connects to that tailor example the source uses.
Oh yeah, the tailor taking new measurements every time.
Exactly. They don't just assume the old measurements fit. It really makes you think about how we slap these permanent labels on people, doesn't it? When everything is actually in flux.
It does. And this view even changes how they see wrongdoing.
Yes. Instead of anger or hate towards someone doing wrong, the view is more like seeing a sick person deserving of pity.
Pity, not hatred.
Think about those birthday party examples.
Right, the diabetic neighbor who can't eat the sweets. You feel sorry for them, you don't resent them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And similarly, the neighbor who's complaining or being abusive, the joyous person pities them because, as the source says, he is ignorant and cannot behave in any other way.
Seeing them as students of various classes in the lower grade, still learning.
Still learning. Not everyone's reached that understanding yet.
That really reframes relationships. Okay, let's unpack this. We've talked about inner state, perception of others. What about actions? How does this joyful living affect how we see what people do?
That brings us to the third feature, the vision of uniformity in action.
Uniformity in action. Okay.
So think about all the different jobs and activities in the world. Our source lists a whole spectrum.
Like doctors, engineers.
Artists, politicians, religious leaders, teachers. It even includes terrorists in the list. A huge range.
A very diverse range.
Very. But here's the thing. The joyous person, according to the source, does not find any gradation in these actions.
No gradation. Wait, so teaching isn't seen as better than, say, being a politician, or even
the destructive actions. The source is quite clear. These activities cannot be classified as high or low, noble or ignoble, virtuous or sinful, important or unimportant, and so on.
Okay, that's counterintuitive. How can you not see gradations? What's the insight there? This is where it gets really interesting.
Well, the core idea the source presents is this. The only objective of all the actions is to improve the quality of the actor.
Improve the actor? How?
By adding to their existing stock of preferences, impressions, and knowledge. Basically, every action, regardless of its external appearance or result, is seen as part of that individual's own journey of learning and evolving internally.
So it's less about the outcome of the action in the world and more about what the action does for the person performing it.
That seems to be the perspective. The source uses that powerful metaphor. The world is a theater in which the people are mere actors.
Mere actors.
And it suggests they have no control over what they're doing. They're playing out their assigned roles, shaped by their past karma or impressions. So from this view, it is not correct to judge them based on their actions.
Because they're just playing their part in the grand play.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this understanding leads the joyous person to not even see a fundamental difference between, say, a pebble stone or a piece of gold.
Why not?
Because all are part of the illusion made up of the very same three elements, referring to the underlying constituents of reality in this philosophical view. It's seeing the substance, not just the form or apparent value.
Wow. Okay, that completely reframes how we might judge, well, everything people do. So if that's how actions are revealed, what does all this mean for our own search for happiness? Where does that fit in?
That's the perfect lead-in to the final feature, the highest grade of happiness.
The highest grade. All right.
Our source described this really interesting progression of happiness. It starts at the bottommost level, which is basically satisfying the senses.
Good food, nice music, pleasant sights, that kind of thing.
Right. Physical level happiness. Then, as people mature, they often move to the mental level. Emotional connection, achieving goals, things that satisfy the mind.
Makes sense.
And then there's the topmost level where intellectual satisfaction gives more happiness. The source notes that the quality of happiness actually increases with physical, mental, and intellectual levels.
Okay, quality increases. Can you give an example?
Yeah, the source uses that bird show example. It's quite good.
Ah, the lovebirds.
Exactly. So one person might just enjoy the birds because they look nice, they're pretty. That's physical appreciation.
Level 1.
Level 1. A second person might appreciate them because they symbolize love, partnership. That's more mental, emotional.
Level 2.
Level 2. But then a third person looks at these same birds and feels joy because they see them displaying the glory of creation.
Ah, seeing something much bigger reflected in them.
Precisely. That's the intellectual level appreciation. And what's fascinating here, the real takeaway, is the conclusion that the absolute highest grade of happiness comes when everything about God, self, and the universe is known.
Back to that ultimate knowledge we talked about with satisfaction.
Exactly. This is the unique happiness of the joyous person. It's not just another level, it's the pinnacle. A complete intellectual fulfillment that comes from understanding the ultimate reality. It's the happiness of, well, having nothing more to do and nowhere to go.
That's quite a journey we've mapped out today, from refining the mind, which we've discussed before, to stepping into this